is about, because frankly, that's going to be very important in a subdivision and land development application. What do our ordinances say? What is it that they're asking for? Are they asking for relief, or is it something that's done by right? The other issue that I know that came up was somebody had asked that we do something to delay the transfer of the property. This board really has no ability to do that. We can't get involved in in the transfer of the property. If a seller wants to sell their house to a buyer, they can do so. That's not something that we can get involved in. We certainly would be involved if there are applications made to the board, but we wouldn't get involved in a private transaction like that. The
historical significance of the
yeah, and then the historical significance of the house. I mean, again, I would, what I would do is I would bring those issues up at both the Planning Commission and to the Historic Board to see if there is anything that can be done. There are different criteria as to what makes a house historic, because somebody famous lived there, or some other reason that might give it some type of standing on a national register or some other type of thing. Again, they're all things that, you all seem to be very involved, doing the right things, looking for these things. And I would encourage you to keep doing that and bring that information back to the board so that when we make a decision, we can make an informed decision. But at this point, this board really can't. There was even some suggestion about maybe people going out and looking at the area, which right now, since there's not an application filed, is not a bad deal. But once there's an application filed, I'm going to give the direction to the board not to go to the properties, because they can't do that unless everybody goes at once. That we all have to go at once, and the guy that was the applicant as well as the objectors all have to go, because it has to be fair. So, there are a lot of rules that we've got to play by. A lot of them are state mandated rules. They're found in, some of the things that you should be familiar with are our subdivision and land development ordinance, our zoning ordinance, and the municipalities planning code, because that sets out all the rules that the board's going to have to play by as we go along.
Right, and it's, again, I just want to remind everybody, it's important to go to these meetings, to the Planning Commission meetings, and to the commissioners' meetings, so that it's on the record, so that everything you're saying is on the record, and then we can use that in our decision if it's on the record.
That's right.
Okay. As for the, what's that? No.
Mr. President?
After the, just give me a second. After the meeting is over, after the regular business is over, then people can speak again if they'd like.
I just wanted to add one comment.
Well, are you going to talk?
I am in a second, but I just wanted to add one comment to them, if I could, that you are a cohesive unit, and I live in a neighborhood very similar to yours, and I started a neighborhood association many years ago, and it's something that you might want to consider. You can work stronger, as a group to address certain things and possibly look into historic.
They've tried that.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if you had or not. Okay,
they have.
Sorry. Just.
The one, and this is a segue into your thing. We'll be discussing both. Dave Pinotti will speak during the discussion, and we'll be discussing the issues of 101 Ridgeway and not 101 Ridgeway, and what's the other street?
Woodmere
Way. Okay, so we'll be discussing that in the thing. The segue was the school. I know somebody spoke about the school district being number 8. That is something that. I thought that Jane was going to mention, because it was something that was, important, and that's why people moved to Haverford Township. So go ahead, Jane.
All I wanted to say was, and if I may take the liberty of speaking on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, to congratulate the school district and all the excellent, outstanding teachers that we have and school board that put our township on the map in the state. 8 out of 500 schools rated. We were number 8. We're in the top 10, which is a huge achievement for us. Out of 100 scoring points, rating graduation rate, promotion, academic growth, and standardized testing, we rated 97.7, which was very high. It was right up there with Radnor, Lower Merion, Wallingford, Swarthmore, all of the really wonderful school districts surrounding us in these suburban areas. And I know that all of us, this is incredibly important to our property values, to the cohesiveness of this community, and the strength of this community. So I'd like to congratulate the school district from the Board of Commissioners and hope that we can all move forward in a strong and positive way for the growth of our children.
All right, we will be moving on with the agenda now. The approval of minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner D'Amelio.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of September 8th, 2014.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Wait, before you do that, I do have one thing. I think that on approval of warrants, there's a mistake.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Right.
when we-
Yeah,
when
so
we-
I think from the last meeting, I didn't want anybody to think that that happened.
Yeah, that's right.
I just,
Okay.
You just did it.
Sorry.
No,
If
thank you.
somebody's looking at it, they can see that that was from last meeting, I think, right?
Dan's going to talk about that.
Oh, okay, Dan, sorry.
Number 6.
well, we have to take a vote on the
Listen.
minutes.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, that's it. No.
Mr. D'Amelio.
Yes.
Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Siegel.
Yes.
Mr. McGarity.
Yes.
Mr. Connell.
Yes.
Mr. Wexler.
Yes.
Mr. Heilman.
Yes.
Mr. Oliva.
Yes. Number 6, approval of warrants.
Okay, approval of warrants. Larry's not here, so I'll take it tonight. General and sewer fund payroll for September 11th. I'm sorry, let me start over. Motion made by Commissioner Holmes and second by...
No, that's a typo.
Huh?
Okay, that's.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, well, I was right then. How about that? General and sewer fund payroll for September 11, 2014, the amount of $617,332.79. General and sewer fund payroll for September 25th, 2014, in the amount of $659,537.65. Scheduled debt payment on Series 2013 ACH due October 15, 2014, in the amount of $187,791.26. General fund disbursements 10-2014, the amount of $2,927,373.66. Sewer fund disbursements 10-2014 in the amount of $420,596.31. Community development block grant disbursement 10-24 in the amount of $88,217.41. Murray Place fund disbursement 10-2014 in the amount of $855. Capital projects fund disbursement 10-2014 in the amount of $158,807.61. Access equipment fund 10-2014 in the amount of $9,160.20. Credit card statement ending September 6, 2014 in the amount of $6,231.19.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Thank you, Commissioner Siegel. Any discussion?
Just one clarification for the public. Although it indicates motion made, that was simply a typographical error from last month. However, the total for the warrants reflected there of $5,075,903.08 is correct. So the total is right. It's just obviously
There was a typo with.
there was a typo, but the rest of it is accurate.
Great. Any other discussion?
Okay, that's it.
Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio.
Yes.
Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Siegel.
Yes.
Mr. McGarity.
Yes.
Mr. Connell.
Yes.
Mr. Wexler.
Yes.
Mr. Heilman.
Yes.
And Mr. Oliva.
Yes. Number 7, ordinance number P13, 2014.
P13.
Commissioner Connell?
Yep, okay.
All right.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like the ordinance number P13, 2014. Make a motion to adopt second reading of ordinance number P13, 2014, authorizing traffic restrictions on the following highways. Emergency no parking area at both sides of Brookline Boulevard, beginning at Darby Road to a point 500 feet to the east. Sticker parking only on Belvedere Road in the 2300 block, both sides from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and removing from the 1700 block to 2100 block on Belvedere Road. Special purpose parking zone on both sides of Decatur Road, beginning 85 feet west of the intersection of Darby Road and ending 20 feet west.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler? Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
Yes. Mr. Levy?
Yes. Number 8, ordinance number P14, 2014.
Motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance P14, 2014 by authorizing traffic restrictions on the following highways. Special purposes parking zones in front of 1716 Ridgeway Road.
Second.
No. we're still
On the northwest corner of Lansdowne Road, 20 feet
There we go.
north of the intersection of East Park Road, stopping traffic on Lansdowne Road.
Now second.
Okay.
And could I add special purpose parking in front of 666 Dayton Road per Sergeant Scott?
Okay,
Okay, you accept that?
yes.
Okay,
I accept it as a second too, so.
okay. 666 what?
Dayton Road.
Dayton.
Dayton Road.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
We did.
I was.
Oh,
And then I,
Then you
Have
added,
second.
okay, so
Okay.
then Jimmy accepted it.
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
yes.
And Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Mr.
Number-
President,
Commissioner Connell.
resolution number 1952, 2014. A motion to adopt resolution 1952-2014 authorizing Township Manager Lawrence J. Gentili contact our state congressmen, our state senators, our state senator and state representative offices to attend a special meeting November 19, 2014 at 7 p.m., a location not yet determined, to discuss ongoing flooding concerns.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Larry, the venue?
It's going to be at the middle school. I believe it's 7 p.m.
Okay, and were we
Yeah, 7
doing
p.m.
congressmen and senators as well, or just the state people?
States Congressman.
As well.
Yeah, oh, okay,
Everyone's
Let
invited.
me in.
yeah.
Okay.
And Toomey and,
I believe they're coming. Most of them are coming.
I believe we have received a positive comment from 95% of those invited. Either they or a representative will attend.
I have a question. You know, this special meeting, will we send out a broadcast, Larry, like you usually do?
It's
to
going to
the
be
phones?
advertised like any other meeting. It'll be
You're not gonna send a
advertised.
broadcast out as well?
You mean to reverse 911? Absolutely not, no.
Not for this.
No, it'll
We'll do that in
be
emergency.
advertised, it'll be public, in the newspapers.
It'll be on the
agenda.
I was just
Website.
trying to think of ways
Yeah.
that we try every avenue to alert people of the meeting, but it's fine. I mean, I was just thinking of ways to do that.
Well, the ward commissioners could send out emails to their email list, which
Yeah.
is always pretty effective.
Okay.
And this is also now, periodic discussion back and forth. This is now, our township engineer has already put plans together to address the 4 locations. There isn't a timeline regarding this matter, but there are some, the costs that are involved. We have the plans, and my only concern is that when we meet with our higher colleagues, whatever happens, I am hoping that the township moves forward into addressing these issues. We are so close, so many years coming at this, that I want to continue this, this pace that we're at.
Mr.
Yeah, I
President?
second that.
May I speak, Mr. President?
Go ahead.
Commissioner Connell, I also think that it would be prudent for us to speak with the EAC at some point about, I'm not schooled in green stormwater management, but I think anything that we can bring to this particular issue would be worthwhile looking at, if you concur.
Absolutely. And my concern here is that I don't just want these proceedings to drag out
Right.
over a lengthy
Right.
period.
Right.
You know, we have come, as you guys have agreed, we've come so far. And it is time really that we need to address these. And that's why I want to just keep this momentum going. Okay?
All right. Okay.
I mean, I think it's a good idea. This is a great idea. I think, I don't want to belabor and not to do anything, but I think we need to quickly demonstrate the extent of the problem, and then we need to focus on those folks that are coming here to talk to us. Our goal out of them is money. We need
Right.
money to fix that problem, the money which we don't have. So I don't want to spend a lot of time, I mean, they need a quick overview of the significance of the problem, and then we need to hammer them on, we need help funding this. We're going to fix it, it's in our backyard, but we need their help in generating the money to get to this township to fix the problem.
Correct.
So I'd like to hear, we're going to fix it.
So we'll
Number 10?
call the roll.
No, we got to roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Absolutely.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yeah, we need the money, yeah.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
Yes.
Mr. Oliva?
Yes.
Mr. President,
Can I say the resolution first?
What is it?
Number 10, resolution number 1953, 2014. Commissioner Connell, go ahead.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adopt resolution number 1953-2014, approving the minor subdivision plan for Millstone Collaborative LLC for the property at 566 Mill Road, Haverford Township, Delaware County, and known as Delaware County Folio Number 22-007-01052-00, has been submitted to permit the subdivision of the existing 14,423 square feet lot to create two lots as follows. Lot number 1, 7,455 square feet. Lot 2, 6,968 square feet. The subject property is zoned R4 Residential District and is located in the 8th Ward. The aforesaid plans are prepared by D.L. Howard Civil Engineering and Land Planning dated July 11th, 2014, subject to the recommendations of the Planning Commission.
I got a question, but I'll second that, but I just want to ask Chris.
Dan seconded. Dan Siegel seconded.
Oh, okay.
Commissioner Siegel.
This house, Chris, is after the synagogue that used to be there. It would be the second house after that, on the left, one
Yes.
down? Okay. And this is definitely an improvement.
It sits between the P&W tracks and the entrance to the new Chinese church. It has gone before the Historical Commission, it has gone before the Planning Commission, and it also has been reviewed, I should say, by the Delaware County Conservation District as well.
All right. Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
No.
No.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
I know.
Yes.
And Mr. Oliva?
Yes. Number 11, resolution number 1954, 2014. Commissioner Hall.
Mr. President, motion to adopt resolution number 1954, 2014, declaring official intent with respect to reimbursements from proceeds of bonds, notes, or other indebtedness of temporary advances made for capital expenditures and related matters, providing for severability, setting forth an effective date.
Second.
Mr. President, this is, Commissioner Holmes is not here this evening, and he asked me just to make it clear that this resolution is not an authorization to borrow, but this is required by the IRS for the Board of Commissioners to express our intent in this resolution to reimburse ourselves for capital expenditures paid in advance of approved projects.
Okay. Any other discussion?
No.
No, we had to worry about the IRS here.
What?
The IRS, you sure?
Yeah. That's what Larry said,
Oh,
that it's a...
I think it's the laws, it's the laws dealing with the
The state
borrowing.
law.
It's
Federal.
municipal funding.
Municipal funding law.
Municipal funding, I think
Yeah.
is what he meant to say.
Same thing?
I'm just teasing.
No.
Motion made and seconded.
We can have Larry remote in.
Any other discussion?
That was his
Please call the
quote.
roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel.
Yes.
Mr. McGarity.
Yes.
Mr. Connell.
Yes.
Mr. Wexler.
Yes.
Mr. Heilman.
Yes.
And Mr. Oliva.
Yes. Number 12, Commissioner Halman.
Build up.
Good.
No.
President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 1955, 2014, approving the appointment of Christopher Hillier and Joseph McCarthy Sr. as fire police for the Manoa Fire Company and Township of Haverford.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio.
Yes.
Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Siegel.
Yes.
Mr. McGarity.
Yes.
Mr. Connell.
Yes.
Mr. Wexler. Yes. Mr. Heilman.
Yes.
Mr. Oliva.
Yes. Number 13, the Finance Department, Commissioner Siegel.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to engage Portnoy and Associates to administer the collection process for selected delinquent sewer and trash fees as determined by the Finance Department. This is slightly different than as phrased, but this is what we had discussed at the work session. It's to allow us to do it selectively rather than a specific long-term contract.
Yeah, she looks like she can go after him, Dan. I agree with Dan. Second it.
Motion made and seconded. Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio.
Yes.
Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Siegel.
Yes.
Mr. McGarity.
Yes.
Mr. Connell.
Yes.
Mr. Wexler. No. And Mr. Heilman.
Yes.
And Mr. Oliva.
Yes. Commissioner?
Mr. President, motion to authorize a one-year contract extension with Tri-State Financial Group to expire December 31st, 2015.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
What is that for?
What
They
is-
they collect our business tax, the,
Right, okay.
the emergency services tax, those,
Dan, can you
For the
speak into the
township.
mic so that...
I'm sorry, I
people
thought I
can hear
was. Tri-State Financial collects the emergency services tax, the dollar tax for the township, and the other annual taxes, your annual business taxes are sent through them and processed by them. And they've been the servicing company for years.
you? Okay. Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio.
Yes.
Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Siegel.
Yes.
Mr. McGarity.
Yes.
Mr. Connell.
Yes.
Mr. Wexler. Yes. Mr. Heilman.
Yes.
And Mr. Oliva.
Yes. All right, we have continuation of citizens forum for non-agenda items. Would anyone like to speak? In the first row here. I'm sorry. Yeah. Mhm. Come on up.
Esther, 304 Bewley. We've been doing a petition
couldn't hear
throughout
her.
Lanark.
Yeah.
The door,
Can you
talk a little
speak up?
louder?
I can't hear you at all.
Can't hear a word.
Yeah, pull it off.
Or,
Just pull it towards you.
Yeah.
Pull the microphone towards you. There you go.
There you
hold
go.
it
Yeah.
like this. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
I don't know if it's on. Maybe it's
Is it
not
on?
on.
It's like a Seinfeld.
Maybe it died.
Talk, Bill, see if it's on.
Talking to it, Bill.
Test.
that works.
There we go.
Works.
Okay. Kathy Nestor, 304 Bewley. Okay. And we've been going door to door on a petition because the Lanark neighborhood is very distressed about the overdevelopment, which actually wasn't part of what I was going to say, but since everything here has been green and environmental, and I'm not well educated on that, but I'm wondering if we're going to overdevelop Lanark, perhaps we could choose green homes, like pass an ordinance. I don't know if that's possible too. I just thought I would mention that. That maybe you could go green. If it's legal to do all this overdevelopment, at least have the respect for our community and give us a green new development. I mean, that's just an idea. But I'm tasked to sort of read these names to everyone, and this would be mostly Mario's, the second ward. Judy Owens, this is on Davis. Ken Lynch, Bob Hodgson, Ann Hodgson, Mary Calabro, William White, Bernard Smith, Nicholas Fadaco. These are all people that oppose tearing down this beautiful home. Paul Mean, Mike Brown, Tracy Strober, John Gladstone, Aggie Barnes, Maud Irwin. These are Valley Road. Richard Davis, Joseph Broadenbush, Adam Hirschman, This is Davison Park. Melissa Fidaco, Elizabeth Morris, Sean Holleran, David Schwartz, Veronica Lunt, Sarah Jean Becker, Raymond Betts, Catherine Betts, Ray Cardarelli, Brooke Huff, Brad Miller, Margaret Bradley, Michael Bradley. This is East Park. Gunther Carl, Ginger Carl, Riley Bonner, Tom Foley, Nancy Foley, John Zyga, Harry Morginian, Brandon Hanneran, Allison Hunt Johnson, Gonzalo Correjo. This is also East Park. John Higston, Elisa Hirschar, Dean McCrossan, Mary Kristen Haskell, Fabrice Gorse, Rebecca Gorse, Philip Cass, Susan Facioli, Alice Goodwin, Daniel Goodwin, Darren LeBrock, Susan LeBrock, Eric Bristol, Hannah Shaw, Michael Sheenan, Colleen Sheenan, Tom Forker, Vicky Forker, Leah Zaklarka, Paul, Melissa Baker, Deborah Gove, Robert Gove, Andrea Smith, Michael Smith, Beth Farrell, Tom Farrell, Anthony Schrader, Matthew Kenny, Teresa Brown, Cindy Meckley, Keith Henderson, Cheryl Forskup, Liz Walsh, John O'Leary, Stacy O'Leary, Robert Eglinger, John Black, Jeff Epstein, Jean Angel, Sam Angel, Daniel Angel, Farina Van Veen, William Van Veen, Robert Black, Linda Nessler, Dale Nessler, Catherine Miller, Tom Yurick, Jordan Miller, Priscilla Merritt, Seth Coven, Joan Coven, Elise Liver, Paul Coors, Connie Coors, Susan Killeran, Ron Ackerman, Diane Ackerman, Fran McLaughlin, Tom McLaughlin, and we've hardly even touched on all the houses.
That's a good.
Do we have a copy of that?
Can we get a copy of
Not
that?
the original, these are photocopies.
Okay.
Okay,
Can we
but
get a copy of that?
Yes.
what home are you talking about there?
101 Tenby.
Okay,
The house that we spoke of earlier,
okay.
all right? Can I get a copy of that? Sure.
Developer Rich Fuller and Realtor John Ryan are trying to demolish the existing home at 101 Tenby Road, Havertown, PA. They seek to divide the existing property into 2 lots for development, building 2 new homes. The destruction of 101 Tenby Road would cause undue harm to the community. Located on a corner lot, that home is prominent in the neighborhood and it adds substantially to the character of the community. It is majestic from the outside and retains interior characteristics of its period. There are no other homes like it in the community. The destruction of 101 Tenby Road and the construction of 2 new homes would destroy community characteristics, add congestion, adversely impact the environment, devalue neighboring properties, and continue the ongoing construction in the Lanark neighborhood, which is unwanted by its residents.
Kathy, and if we could get copies of that, or you can get me just one copy, I'll make the copies for everyone. Okay? All right, anyone? Stacy. No, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Lee Zaharka. I live at 104 Landaff Road, and I live right behind 101 Tenby Road. I too am opposed to this beautiful property being torn down in our neighborhood. I have another concern about that property as well. We talked about the environment tonight many times. The owners of that property owned a trash hauling business. My family and I have lived there for 22 years, and we saw over the years trash trucks that said hazardous waste material. I also understand that there was a pool in that property, and that when they decided to cement over the pool, that they used the pool as a trash bin, throwing away refrigerators, air conditioners, and things like that. So I'm concerned if that property comes down and that ground is opened up, what will it do to the environment and to those of us that live there? Thank you very much.
Okay. Jean Angel. 25 Tenby.
Jean Angel.
I know that one.
I am Jean Angel from 25 Tenby. I'm speaking tonight to express my opposition to the demolition of 101 Tenby Road and the building of 2 homes on that lot. When my husband and I were house hunting 21 years ago, I wrote up a wish list for our realtor, an older, charming fixer-upper in an old-fashioned neighborhood with curbs, sidewalks, large trees, big yards, and a strong sense of community. After looking unsuccessfully for many months, I found a house on Bewley Road in Lanark in the MLS book. When we turned onto Landillo Road for the first time, I couldn't believe my eyes. This was the neighborhood of my dreams. The house needed a lot of work, but we purchased it in 1993 and spent 10 years renovating the house and garden. What I did not know when we purchased the house was the way that the warmth, beauty, and charm of Lanark would get under my skin. So when we decided we wanted a bigger house and yard, we agreed that we'd wait until the right house in Lanark was available because we didn't want to leave. We sent notes to 8 families and ended up purchasing our current home at 25 Tenby Road 12 years ago. This 1908 house needed even more work than our other house, but we have spent several thousand hours and a couple $100,000 making that house a forever home. I believe that this should be the fate for 101 Tenby Road, which I feel is the most beautiful house on the loveliest corner in Lanark. I understand that it's not a good investment for a builder to buy that house and renovate it, as the profit margin would be too small. But at the price that they are paying, it would be a great investment for someone who wants to make it their home. As you know, in addition to all the work on my own houses, I've also spent countless hours in Lanark and Haverford Town making a better community and a more beautiful place. I've organized and installed 3 gardens in Lanark, and in addition, worked on Lanark Crossing Park, turning a lighted lot into a beautiful gateway to the township. And when the park was completed, I along with Mario Oliva, established a tree tender program, and we've subsequently planted 500 trees, including 9 on my block. There are many other citizens like me who are working on beautification and greening efforts in the township, and specifically in Lanark, and I don't want to see our efforts go to waste. One of my favorite things is to walk around Lanark after dinner, greeting my neighbors and looking at the many beautiful homes and gardens. It pains me to see some of the plain, boxy houses that have been squeezed in between the grander, older homes over the years. Originally, most of these larger homes had double lots, but now only a handful of us do. The loss of open space and trees alone has begun to change the character of Lanark, as where there was once a gracious lawn, we now have an eyesore. Builders seek out Lanark lots to build homes on because of the charm and beauty of the neighborhood, yet they are putting in houses that do not match the quality of the current homes. They claim that their houses will raise property values, but they fail to realize that they are eroding the sense of place that could contribute so much to our quality of life and subsequently our property values. In the past 20 years, there have been at least 15 new houses built in Lanark. Only one of them fits in well to the character of the neighborhood, and a couple of them are truly awful. For the most part, they are large cookie-cutter homes with scaled-down or cheaply designed architectural features. These builders care about their bottom line, but not about the impact on the neighborhood. In addition, every time a new house is constructed, that means more parking on our streets, greater traffic congestion in town, greater impervious surface, and the subsequent stormwater management burden and overcrowding in the schools. As a citizen who has devoted countless hours to beautification efforts, I ask that the township help us keep Lanark the beautiful place that it was meant to be. I would be devastated if this house is demolished and 2 new houses built. This does not serve Lanark residents in any way whatsoever and would be a real tragedy. I also ask that you begin now to explore ways to limit subdivisions, to promote and reward open space designations on residential properties in the township, and better preserve our historic resources. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Everyone's.
Your
or-
name and
sorry.
address.
What's that?
Name and
Oh, my
address.
name is Catherine Miller, and I live at 20 Tenby Road. Everyone's already spoken beautifully about how important our neighborhood is to us and how we value our homes and the whole culture that we all work really hard to maintain in the Lanark neighborhood. I think that what Jeannie said just a second ago was that you guys really have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to look into legislative ways, codes, to start to change some of the sort of, well, that's the way it goes. There's a reason why homes have a certain amount of setback from the street, and that's because you, as commissioners, whoever came before you, valued a certain quality of life. It's the reason why when you apply to build a fence, it has to be a certain way. If you take down a fence, you have to put up the exact same fence, and the fence can't go beyond the front porch of your neighbor. Those are the very simple rules that help to define the quality of life in a neighborhood. And I would suspect that you are creative and knowledgeable enough to investigate those kinds of avenues to help us in the Lanark neighborhood. Those ideas, setting back a house, came a long time ago from a group of neighbors like us who said, oh, we want to make sure that houses aren't built right on the curb. So it was very simply the same process, it seems to me, that created the codes that we are all happy to follow, but that new codes need to be considered to restrict the development that's going on in our neighborhood. It's just, there seems to be no restriction. It seems to be, well, if you buy a property and it's deeded that you can build, and that's that. But I'm asking you to please consider our very clear message that we don't want this house taken down, but even for the future. I mean, I think that codes, legislation, whatever, I don't know even, I appreciate so much learning about the Planning Commission, and that's good information for us, are there other bodies, are there other places where, how